That's the problem, isn't it? We want something. We want to be enlightened. We want to be a special person. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank
Can I say
you.
hello to everybody?
Please say hello to everyone. And
Hello.
yeah, thank you. So you, Chanath, you don't have to be enlightened to go for a walk outside and breathe. Let go. Give. Both just stupid words. Best to go for a walk and breathe. I haven't been outside in days. Maybe a week, maybe more than a week since I've really been outside. And when you get into those cycles, it can seem like that's your identity. You're a depressed person, you're a schizophrenic person, you're a psychotic person, you're a suffering person. Because you've put your identity in success and failure. Just the same way if you put your identity in being a Sotapanna or being enlightened, you're holding on to this idea of success. Success and failure are irrelevant to peace and freedom, to being wise. We don't need that stuff. We don't need to be moved by that stuff. Just something like this. The olive branch. That can be more important and more profound and more wonderful than being enlightened or being a teacher or being this person who's dealing with these things. You just have to open your eyes wide enough to be able to see that. Oh, I don't need that. I don't need, you put it here, maybe later I'll need it, but you can turn it off for now. Because I like the heat. It's very cold here. It's nice to get hot.
Yeah.
So you just get up out of that bed of depression and that bed of anxiety and that bed of identity. You just get up and you walk out. and everything changes very quickly. Everything can change very quickly. When you walk away from your identity, when you're willing to abandon this habit energy, this process of thinking thoughts of yourself, about yourself, by yourself, etc., thinking that it leads somewhere, thinking that our bank account in some way is going to help us in the future. No. So in that way, people who have less can be much more grounded. I was watching a couple of documentaries last night on the Aboriginals of Australia, and I had no idea that Australia was a hub for white nationalism, white supremacist nationalism. And anyways, just looking at those Australian Aborigines, you can see how different their perspective, their way of being was, being so connected to the ground, to the earth. I've got a few thoughts about this kind of things, but they're not fully developed yet. Nor will they probably ever be, because I'm exceedingly lazy. Wish that you were here, that you could smell the wind, that you could hear the atmosphere. This is Dalat, Vietnam. I'll tell you from my own experience, Chanath, being enlightened never works out. You can't fix your life. You'll never be able to fix your life. But what you can do is here and now detach, renounce, and abandon your life, your identity, your story. Now. Not how are you going to deal with the ex-boyfriend out there, but how are you going to deal with the ex-boyfriend in yourself, here and now. Three stages of enlightenment. People who don't get it, people who kind of get it, and people who don't exist. There's infinite ways to understand the paradigm of enlightenment. But thinking about enlightenment is just as good as thinking about a box of rocks on a Tuesday, and it's Monday here. It's morning time for me, which is 12:20 in the afternoon. There's an idealism in these questions, Chinath, that we have to let go of. That is not going to serve us. It's just the wanting of an identity, the searching and the seeking of an identity. There's nothing wrong with being weird. You could see it that way, but it's not a very practical way to see it. Until we're concentrated and in a way of realization of the here and now, where we are right here and where we are right now, then it's very difficult to be practical about anything. Is the tree enlightened? Well, the tree's not suffering as much as I am. So do I actually want to be enlightened, or do I want to just stop suffering? So stay with the work of ending suffering and don't fixate on, am I enlightened or not? It's kind of a low ball, low-hanging fruit. Tell me, am I holding on to this spoon or not? So what is this I that you're talking about? It's just an idea. And that idea can be applied to all kinds of different things. So your ideas aren't as important as not thinking. And that's a tough truth to hear. It's almost an unhearable truth for thoughts and for thinkers. So dare to hear that truth. Because this idea we have about our severe mental issues, I was watching another documentary last night on addiction. And there was some, teenage girl that had trauma in her youth and was addicted to bath salts and this kind of thing, injecting bath salts. And she went to rehab, got completely clean, went back home to stay with her parents, and before you know it, she's huffing meth and Xanax again. So we may have to dare to go outside of the bounds of that place and that time and that situation. We might have to dare to do that. Otherwise, the spirits, the poisoned water, the bad conditions that we can't take may overwhelm us, because it's like this overseer or this dominator standing over our minds, standing over our bodies, standing over our lives, saying, I'm thinking about your identity. But if you can step back from that whole paradigm of this overseer, this dominator standing over you that says, I'm considering about your identity, where is the suffering? Or where is the identity? Or where is the real story, real true person and a real story? And, this is a kind of access to a liberatory view or perspective that's not time-bound. And I think it's very important that we develop a relationship with that in our own lives. That's right, that's right. Very good, Chanath. So we just go back to basics. Where can I find a meditation retreat? What's a good Dharma talk that I can listen to? And that can have a practicality to it. So having an overseer, having a governor that looks down and says, look, this guy's out of control. We need to do something about this in a community, in a tribe, where we're all staying together and we're supporting each other. Sure, there's an aspect of practicality there. But when this governor or this overseer of your own identity is now torturing you in the midst of access to peace and access to awareness and access to thinking, to perpetuate this cycle of identity, there might be something there where you need to say, wait a minute, I may very well be mentally ill, but I'm not mentally ill now. In fact, now I can see, I can experience that I am nobody, and allowing that. Giving an allowance to nobody. Giving an allowance to no identity. Even if it's a small allowance to start, see how things go, see how things work out. And I've been thinking a lot, I've been going through my own crisis lately with my identity as a teacher, and a kind of supposedly spiritual person. And it has been tough looking at that and wondering about that, Do I actually have anything of value to share? Am I bypassing something inside myself by being a teacher or performing, Is there a better use of my time? All these kind of questions. Because with the light comes the shadow. With the positive time comes the negative time as well. It's a little bit afternoon here, Will. 12:30 here. But that darkness, that depression, that dark side of the self, dark side of the soul, is just as important as the light, because if you didn't know how dark it was, you couldn't appreciate how blinding the light is. If you didn't know how deep and foggy and heavy and miserable and stinky thoughts can be, you wouldn't be able to appreciate how vivid the absence of thoughts is or can be. We actually have a member of our Sangha, a member of our community, who right now is in an intensive 10-day meditation retreat. And they've been a close student of mine for some time, so we'll all have to see how they come out on the other end. What they can share with us, the blessings they can convey to us from their experience. But your attachment to your mental position is just as bad as your attachment to your physical position. And we have this special idea about our mind, like someone's mind is healthy and good, or somebody's mind is sick and bad. Goes to the taboo about mental illness. But the truth is, there's no taboo if somebody breaks their ankle or even loses their foot driving a motorcycle. So in the same way, there shouldn't be any taboo about the fact that we go through these cycles inside of our own mind, our identity, these mental health cycles. We're a little bit weaker today. We're a little bit stronger tomorrow. We went to the dark side of the moon and we're just starting to open up again. So the matter of fact is more about our psychosocial situation that oppresses us and continues the cycle of manipulation and abuse, anger, greed, and delusion. That's why it is said that the wise ones prefer to be alone. So you can see I'm not that wise. I'm not particularly wise if I'm living like this. Yeah, so my advice for the dealing with the sight loss is just spend more time in meditation. See if you can get yourself to meditation retreat, listen to the teachings of Ajahn Brahm, you know, take on the responsibility. Because actually in meditation, you know, the preferred way to meditate is with the eyes closed for most people. And actually, when we close our eyes like that, we can have the most profound, deep, and meaningful experiences of our lives. You know, the most positive and enjoyable and rich experiences of our lives. So yeah, don't be shy about that. You know, it's just a new domain to go into. And I'm sure there are people who will help you on that path, you know, on that journey of seeing less, seeing no more. See it as a blessing. If you can. And you can. Good. So what if I'm bald? I can still be a good person. Even a bald man can be a good person. Even a bad man can be a good man. Even a mean man can be a kind man. Even an ugly woman can be a beautiful woman. Even a beautiful woman can be an ugly woman. So how's that possible? Just is. How is it possible to split the atom and get extra energy? It just is. Because this story of a soul that is either sick or healthy is ridiculous. The most mentally healthy person, if they went into a different situation or different conditions, may immediately become mentally unhealthy. So this is a teaching on dependent co-origination, meaning everything is coming up together, depending on each other. And if you are stuck in your room, stuck in your house, and you're depressed and anxious and becoming schizophrenic and becoming crazy and going into darkness inside of yourself, then you just may need to change that environment, period. And it's your human capacity to do that. There's nothing more human than leaving. There's nothing more human than changing your environment. There's nothing more human than being on the move and identifying and knowing solid places for water, solid places for resources, etc. That's the most human thing that there is. It's not particularly human in terms of our genetics and our history to just stay at one place, especially to just stay in one place alone. So you need to know how to leave. You need to know how to be in community. You need to know how to step outside of that cave into the light of all kinds of unknown experiences, all kinds of unknown phenomena that you're not in control of. Because when we're isolated like that, it puts us into a very weird mindset where we not only listen to people that we have no idea who they are or what their experiences are, but we just come across them and we listen to them and believe them. But we also listen to and believe and take refuge in thoughts and ideas and teachings and stories that have zero to do with our lived experience or the lived problems that we're going through. So it's not about platitudes of ideas like, just keep going, don't give up, pain is gain, something like this. But it's a real tapping into the essence of direct experience and direct relationships that are based on direct experience, not just superfluous ideas and value statements and things like that. Doesn't mean anything. Yeah, we're talking about Buddhism. Bodhidharma would say to realize that the 5 sense organs and the corresponding phenomena, so like the seeing, the hearing, the smelling, etc., are fictions, is to attain to awareness. So awareness is, in a sense, the fictionality of the 5 sense organs. So awareness has actually nothing to do with this body and mind. We're just kind of contracted into believing that it does, or the seemingness that it does. You see what I'm saying? The awareness is not constricted to this body and mind. There's no such thing as your awareness, it's just awareness. There's no such thing as this body, it's just the body of the universe. It gets into, and this is how people can totally go crazy and lose their minds. You'd think after all these millions of years of evolution, nobody should be able to lose their minds and go crazy, because what's the evolutionary benefit of that, right? But because of how profound this capacity to turn the mind around and actually look back onto itself is, we can totally fry our circuits if we don't approach this in the right way. Like I said, Daniel, even a bald man can be a good man. 100% Brits, yeah, Brit, completely, totally. Don't try to become anything, then you'll become a real Buddhist. No longer trying to become, no longer seeking. come back to that openness, that spaciousness. We had actually a member of our community, and I really mean that, someone who's a donor and someone who takes these classes and these live streams very seriously. And it actually turned out that they suffered from anti-Semitism. And it was one of the things that they were trying to work on and kind of trying to get through. And the way that I tried to share with them about that, the water, yeah. It's very good water. What inside?
Yeah.
What inside it? The taste. The taste. Strawberry?
Rosemary.
Rosemary.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to say hello to the live stream?
Hello. Chào mọi người nha.
Chúc mừng năm mới.
Chúc mừng năm mới.
Rosemary. Put rosemary in the water. Very good. Is that the real anti-Semitism is the friends that we made along the way? No, I'm just joking a little bit there, but what I mean by that is that it's kind of like rocks on the ground. You see that there are some particular rocks that stand out. But if you weren't looking or thinking about particular rocks, or white rocks in particular, you wouldn't notice them. You would just see rocks. You wouldn't pinpoint anything. So because you have this background or this bias of, what about the Jewish people? What are the Jewish people doing? That means that you see Jewish people everywhere you go. Or you notice in the news, or you notice in different published papers and documents, the Jewish aspect. But that's just because you have a bias towards looking and noticing the Jewish aspect. I was thinking about this in terms of the white Australians. I don't know how many people really know about the history of what happened with the Aboriginals in Australia. But another example of genocide and all this horribleness. And I brought up this question, so how exactly did all the people in Australia get over the genocide of the Aboriginals? And it seems like the idea is that, well, we're over it because we won. And you didn't win, so you need to get over it. And frankly, that's quite a fair position. That's quite an honest position, but we're very often not honest with ourselves about the positions that we're taking. So, people are barbaric. And we have to see that side of ourselves, that part of ourselves that is a barbarian, that is in a state of barbarism. To see that side of ourselves that is Buddha, or just awareness, or just kindness, or just compassion, or just forgiveness. If we don't see both of these sides, then we are going to be confused. It just doesn't matter. It's like, what are the black people doing? What are the Jewish people doing? It's a phantom idea. It's a fake idea. If you were asking like what's currently going on at 12:50 Gaza time, in this region of Gaza, that's kind of a real thought or a real question. But when you're talking about what are Jews doing, what are black people doing, what are it's just nonsense. And it's a distraction from access to practicality that makes our human life so rewarding and so interesting. It's okay if you if you like or dislike, you just can't let that control your openness, your access to openness. You know what I mean? Because it's okay to not like black people. It's okay to not like white people. It's okay to not like Americans. It's just that you should not allow your preferences to control your identity. You see what I'm saying? You shouldn't let your preferences be who you really are in a deep down way. It's like we say, no, it's not okay to not like black Americans. Well, people don't like black Americans. A lot of people don't like black Americans. A lot of Americans don't like, white Americans don't like black Americans. So if you say that's not okay, you're kind of putting people at war with each other. And it's just cultural differences and social differences and all the things, all the things that go on, you know what I mean? I love black men and black women, etc. But that's the point, is that it's not about what we like or dislike, right? It's about learning how to have compassion and wisdom in the face of what we like and what we don't like. That awareness is more important than your ideas about things, or, God forbid, reality is more important than what you like or what you don't like. It's okay doesn't mean that we should, it's just like being gay. Saying that it's okay to be gay doesn't mean that we should try to teach people to be gay, does it? Just because we say it's okay to be Muslim doesn't mean that we start trying to force people to be Muslim, or we outlaw talking to Muslim people about atheism or whatever. Try this, Ruben, this would be better. I like black men. I don't know if I will ever be one of them. Nobody cares. It's not too much important what you love or what you don't love. This isn't your diary, okay? They don't. There's no such thing as have to. So this is a big fake, like 5D mind conspiracy, reptilian conspiracy thing. This idea of have to. You do not have to do anything. Nobody has to do anything. It's just that there's certain side effects or certain effects when you do something or you don't do something. Just like you don't need to meditate, or you don't need to be generous, or you don't need to be virtuous, right? But when you don't live that way, there will be effects that you then have to deal with. Now, someone who is a stream enterer, they're going to be much more equipped to deal with side effects than other people who are not stream enterers, than are Patujanas. But is it Ajahn Nyanamoli over at Hillside Hermitage would say, Patujanas basically have no free will or choice at all. They can't really stop and make a decision in terms of the mind or in terms of the Dharma. They're just kind of trying, and if they try enough, concerned with the teachings, then they can get the fruit or they can get the realization. There's no have to and there's no should, ultimately. But there's contexts. So if you're at my house and I say you have to do it this way, or you should do it this way, you have to consider about that. The modern American dream has created a deeply impractical and disassociated way of being with ourselves and being with community. So a lot of people don't have practical experience with anything outside of going to the liquor store, going to McDonald's, going to work, getting their paycheck, paying their bills, etc., watching TV, movies, etc. And that's just a story as well. It's just an idea. So let's say a stream enterer is aware that our ideas are ideas and can kind of make a choice to get involved with that or take responsibility for that or not, right? To give life to it or to kill it. A Patujana is constantly in this whirlwind of ideas, in this whirlwind of thoughts. Their identity is based in thinking, where the stream enterer's identity or the Sotapanna's identity is based in non-thinking. And their access to non-thinking as an identity or as a way is kind of the basis of the fruit, I would say. That's how I would describe it. But you identifying with that is just another example of being a Patujana, identifying with thoughts. So the fruit of stream entry, or they call it the Magga-phala, right, is that you can't just continually go back to identifying with thoughts, because thoughts are clearly impermanent, clearly non-self, clearly dukkha, suffering, not worthwhile to attach to hold on to. No, you don't need to do anything. Who's telling you that you need to do something for you in your own moment, in your own experience right now? Now, you have to stop being a disassociated lunatic and say, wait a minute, and we're all lunatics in our own rights, but wait a minute, I want to be healthy, I don't want to be sick. I want to be happy, I don't want to be sad. I want to be kind, I don't want to be nasty and rude. And so that we make decisions to go in those directions. That's not really, I don't think that's actually, they just get more serious about following the Dharma, that's it. But it happens naturally as well. And anyways, from Sotapanna to Sakyagami to Anagami, it's just on a spectrum, right? It's on a spectrum, an enlightened spectrum, whereas a Patujana is not even on a spectrum because it's just broke. It's like a broken position. When you're in the stream entry or Sotapanna, Sakyagami, Anagami spectrum, now you're in a right perspective, in a right position, and then Arahat is in no position. So, not really, but also kind of really, the differences between a Sotapanna and an Anagami are arbitrary to an Arahat. That's my understanding. That's what I've heard. And to a Patujana, everything is irrelevant. For a Patujana, the whole 4 stages of enlightenment is just fodder for the ego, and is in most cases not even something that they should have anything to do with. That's why people like Kuldasa and the Mind Illuminated and these different I guess neo-Buddhist traditions that emphasize these 4 stages are kind of ridiculous. What's the one with the loving kindness tradition? Like the loving kindness enlightenment tradition? Anybody know that? Pretty famous group. I'd be willing to give my life to Christ, but it would take a lot of money. It would take a lot of money to do that. Don't try to separate yourself from thoughts. Don't try to do that. Just breathe and be aware. So try to breathe and be aware for a minute or two, and then tell me what happens when you do that. It's very practical, it's very direct, it's very now. What do the jhanas have to do with Vipassana? Basically, it's just, well, because some would say, I could say that it's like a side effect of being in detachment. Samatha Vipassana. Because of course, there's different answers. It's never black and white. Because there's the dry Vipassana tradition, which I think is actually like Dhamma Vipassana, dry Dhamma Vipassana. I think there's a lot of truth in that. I guess that it's a really nice topic to look at. It's very very exclusionary as well. Yeah, what does jhana have to do with Vipassana? Nothing, fundamentally. Jhana is just samadhi, and samadhi is just to allow you to see clearly enough to not be lost in nonsense. Like to see clearly the case of a human being, or the case of awareness, the case of experience, and that allows you to go onto the path to arhatship. And eventually your clarity of the case will become so severe that you become an anagami, and then even to detach from that, and then you become the arahat. So I'm not that far along, I'm just 32, so I've got some time. But principles, I think I have pretty good established. But if we look at the modern monastic situation, it's basically totally removed from the Buddha's monastic situation. Does jhana become easier after? I don't think it's practical to put it that way. But probably yeah, for sure. It becomes more accessible. I wouldn't say easier. It becomes more accessible. But Ajahn Sona would say, and I like Ajahn Sona's takes. Ajahn Sona would say, even you don't even need jhana to become a Sakyagami, and I think that's also Ajahn Nyanamoli's take as well. No, jhana is definitely possible before stream entry. So that's another person you can listen to, Chinath, is Ajahn Sona. And that's kind of what I was talking about, Hermit, when I brought up the modern monastic system. It's kind of a meme that modern monasticism has this direct correlation to the life of the Buddha, or what they did with the Buddha. Even in the case of a tradition like Ajahn Chah, the Buddha's Sangha was a renunciate, wandering, Dhutanga-esque community. And it was a community that fundamentally emphasized the role of upachayas, or preceptors, being in direct, intimate relationship with their disciples, with their ordinees for years. And I'm sure it evolved kind of out of that very quickly, but the modern monastic institutions around the world are very removed from what the Buddha's lived practice and experience was, and the Sangha's lived practice experience was. So there's a lack of an accessibility to the monastic path as it was known by the Buddha as well, and as it was known by the early Sangha as well. But so once you become once you start to grind your teeth at the gateway of stream entry, let's say, it's just like you can't become damned anymore. It's kind of like there's one big hill to start with, and once you get to the top of that big hill to start with, then you're at the stream entry, and then it's kind of more accessible as you move forward, but there's still ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs. That's how I would describe it. Stream entry is the realization of the illusion of everything. No, stream entry has 4 factors. Is it 3 or 4 factors? Gemini, are you there? Perplexity, are you there? What do you think, Hermit Moose? What do I get out of 10? Yeah, that's where I think is that children are, the system of the 4 stages of enlightenment doesn't relate to children. Doesn't apply to children, generally. Yeah, and I would like to raise children. I'd like to be the support structure for children in the future. What would a reborn stream enterer be like? Well, they'd be like any other stream enterer. You keep getting reborn for a few times. Stream enter isn't an arhat, so you still have to go through rebirth until you become an arhat. Bubble, when it comes to Dhammarato, I think he's a bit of a loser, but he's helping people, and he's trying to help and he's trying to work for people, so that's good for him and that's good for the people that are getting benefit. It's not somebody that I could follow, but a lot of people can follow him, and so that's good for them. I don't think he's teaching the absolutely wrong thing, but he's not somebody that I could follow. Sure, I'd go to Harvard if they invited me to give a speech at Harvard. I'd go there. I actually had it's something called the Harvard Travelers Club, and I met somebody at one of the monasteries I was staying at, and they wanted to invite me to come and participate and share my story with that audience, but it didn't work out. I was too much of a loser for Harvard. Dhammarato's too much of a loser for me to follow him as a student. Well, it depends on what kind of retreat you're going to. But usually the retreats are going to set you up with everything for you to do. They're going to give you all the instructions. So just show up, take it easy, take it sincere, and practice. No. If you were always established in the Yoniso Masakara, then you'd be an arahat, wouldn't you? Because there'd be no more hindrance. Or you'd very quickly become an arahat, no? In Anagami, probably an Anagami is always established in Yoniso Manisakara. That would be my bet. Only an Anagami is in that always established in that space. We accept donors, and we specifically accept large donors and major donors. So we have a PayPal, Moon Glorious, and anyone has good financial situation to donate, your offerings, your donations are very deeply appreciated. So just go there and give it your all, Kai. Follow the instructions and give it your all. How's everybody doing? Everyone feeling good? Yeah, I would highly recommend 10-day Vipassana retreat. The problem, yeah, Mahasi retreat is great to go to. The Goenka retreat, I just recommend that for someone who has a relationship with the Sangha, because going deeply into Buddhist practice or going deeply into that model of trying to get enlightenment, it requires three things, right? You take refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. So the 10-day Vipassana retreats, they really just give you access to Buddha and Dhamma. And you also need access to Sangha or spiritual friendship. So as long as you have somebody like me that you can talk to after a 10-day retreat, you should be fine. Or if you have your own Sangha, your own community, that kind of stuff. Because it's just like for me, like when I woke up this morning, I kind of felt like shit. I felt pretty bad because I haven't been outside much lately, and I kind of overwhelmed myself with how I was sharing and teaching on YouTube, and so I woke up feeling really curmudgeon-y and really kind of stuck. And I shaved and showered and put on my little outfit, and I stepped outside, and here I am. And really that state of suffering and self-doubt and kind of, sometimes you just feel like your body feels vulnerable, vanishes. Everything opens. So for Dhamma practitioners who get kind of stuck in a rut or stuck in a trap, or negative side effects from meditation or a retreat, usually it can be resolved if you have someone who can support you and just can give you some advice from their own experience. Not always, but if that's the case, then something that we have to go through to grow from, as everything is. I've lost my mind by meditating a couple times. Not really, but it's just very intense suffering, so it might as well be losing the mind. It doesn't matter who's a stream enterer or not. Nobody is a stream enterer. Ajahn Sumedho says, how can a monk become a Sotapanna? How can someone become someone who realizes that there is no someone? So it's looking in the wrong direction. It's thinking about it in the wrong way. You can't know. You can't know if someone else is a Sotapanna or not, a stream enterer or not. It's not intellectual. If that person is a stream enter, then they're not experiencing anything as someone to begin with. The notion of someone doesn't make sense to a stream enterer. or is irrelevant or cancels itself out, right? We're getting a little bit discombobulated, friends. So come back to the breathing, come back to direct experience. Come back to the olive branch of awareness. Oh, thanks, Hermit. Metta to you too. And Chinath, it's just, you don't need to think about it, you know what I mean? You practicing doing good deeds, you practicing mindfulness, you practicing listening to the guided meditations, the Dhamma talks, you following the Sila very closely, etc. Doesn't have anything to do with if you're enlightened or not. It's just the ego trying to figure the same as saying I am not one, I am one, I am not one. Focus on the I am and replace I am with the practice. Don't be lazy as me. Don't be lazy like me. Strive to not be as lazy and selfish as me. And especially strive to not be as lazy and selfish as you. Very dangerous, many side effects, and not helpful. I get a little bit of wiggle room in doing something like live streaming in public, but there's a lot of side effects that go along with that as well. So, Michael, remember not to make declarative statements here. You're not in the position of a teacher or a co-teacher or a representative in any way. You're here as a student. You're here as somebody to drop your own declarative statements, to listen, to stop speaking, and to start listening. Because imagine if I was doing, even if you really idealize what I do and how I share and all that kind of stuff, if I was doing that in a public street in America, somebody would beat me up for sure. And when we go around and we try to teach, we try to tell people the way it is, there's a lot of side effects, a lot of karmic retribution that we get, and it's not particularly helpful. For our own path of being more kind, being more generous, being more peaceful inside of ourselves. Yeah, the last thing you want to become is a street preacher, right? How about we try to practice a little bit of meditation together? How does that sound? Try a little bit. So let's find our meditation position. So the first thing we want to do, or you could even say we need to do when we want to practice meditation, is find a comfortable, stable position to be in. And part of that comfortable, stable position means that we're not focusing on reading comments. And I'll do you a favor with that. I'll help you out with your meditation position. We can take off our thinking caps and sit upright. Sit cross-legged if you can. But the really important thing is to make sure that your chest and your stomach is open, and that your head is upright and erect. Then, whether your eyes are open or closed, whether your eyes are open or closed, you can begin to become aware of your breathing. And breathing is very intimate, it's very direct, it's very experiential. So go into that. Breathing is kind of like instantaneously beyond and before thinking. And just notice where you feel the breath. Do you feel your breath in your stomach, in your chest? Do you feel it in the nostrils? Wherever you feel it, go into that feeling, that directness of the feeling of breathing. It's kind of the direct place of your awareness in breathing, on breathing. Just go right into that. Then as you go into that directness of breathing, allow that directness of breathing to kind of spread out into the whole body. So become aware of the whole body slowly. And as you become aware of the whole body slowly, start to relax the body, or let the body relax. And let that contraction of the eye, of thinking, spread out into awareness of the whole body. And that openness to relax. Meditation isn't really about whether we like it or not. It's kind of the openness to be with the directness of experiencing the whole body, or the body in bits and pieces. To be with awareness wherever it is in the body. Keep relaxing into awareness. And then just stay. Stay in this openness of willingness to come back to awareness of the body relaxing. Breathing, relaxing, aware. And allow that sense of relief. Allow that openness. Allow the figuring out to fall away. The understanding and the solving to fall away. Relaxing and opening of as awareness, of presence that is the whole body and mind. Watch the tendency to do something, to think about something, and then don't get involved, let it fall apart. Go back to that being, presence, being awareness. Mind or I as awareness. Body just being, relaxing. Keep opening, keep unfolding. Keep exercising that willingness to not do, to not try. And if there is some tension or some knot that appears, just allow that. May need to give some kindness to it. Whatever stands out, give allowance, give allowing, give kindness. Just breathing and being aware. Notice those responses, that anxiety response or thinking response or controlling response. Just don't get involved. Just step back, allow, relax it. Give the uninvolvement. Give the non-identity. Just replace identity with awareness, replace identity with allowing. Breathing and allowing. Be willing to not give up, but be willing to just keep giving, to just keep allowing. Be willing to continue being willing, to open, to relax, to be aware. To let thoughts and things resolve themselves. Kind of like becoming your own psychedelic. So just keep allowing, be still, be open, relax. As you go deeper into a sense of relaxation and spaciousness, just make sure that that concentration is maintained, that wakefulness is maintained. Don't drift, don't cycle. This is a point when the concentration on breathing can be very important. If you find yourself sinking or cycling or kind of being drowsy or in any way or mystified in any way, can bring the focus to the breathing at the tip of the nose. Just follow that and watch that. Breathing at the tip of the nose as it flows in. And as it flows out. Don't believe any of the thoughts. Don't get involved. Just go back to the breathing at the tip of the nose. Whatever's noticed, physically or mentally, just ignore it. Return to the breathing at the tip of the nose. No need to feel or experience anything in particular. No development, no worsening off. Just continue that returning and that allowing the whole body and mind to just be as awareness. And let that awareness stay following with the breathing at the tip of the nose. Relax the breathing, open the breathing. Let the breathing come to you in any way. Relax the ego. Relax the self. Relax the thoughts. Relax the body. Don't believe the thoughts. Just back to breathing at the tip of the nose. Let's all take a big, deep in-breath together. And as we release through the mouth, Thank you. Okay, how was it, everybody? Did you have a real meditation experience? It's not about time, it's about consistency and willingness of interest. The basic idea, and I was thinking about this as I went to the restroom, is that your faculty of understanding is what's dissolving. You see what I'm saying? So it's your willingness to dissolve the faculty that understands and figures out. Well, yeah. And so that's a very small meditation. And what you do there is you fill up your tank of blessings. You fill up your tank of detachment, kind of, flexibility and openness. And that what's also going on there is a lot of those habit energies are being processed, dissolved, because what you have to think about is, well, why does my life keep going the same way? Why do I keep going through this same mental experiences? Why can't I get over this stuff? And it's because you're just living in the same way. You're doing the same things over and over again. And so the real meditation is like a stopgap between awareness and doing. And there's a lot of happiness, there's a lot of peace and freedom in that gap between awareness and doing. So we open up that gap, and then the insight is that the I kind of begins to become that gap. The I becomes that gap of not thinking, non-doing. But in the meantime, we have to do a lot of good deeds, a lot of meritorious activities, and the best meritorious activity is meditation. But there can be a lot of side effects from that as well, a lot of processing. Thank you. Switch. Thank you. It helps you be less stupid, Michael, and it shows you how stupid you are. What could be more meritorious than that? So what? I'm a fake monk. So what? What's wrong with that? What's that supposed to mean? Oh, thank you. We're going to get charged up, and then we're going to go for a walk. Go for a walk around the lake together. You can't swim in this lake. Good, Michael. No, I can recognize that I've been neglecting my physical and mental health. And when you do that, you feel a certain way. Good, critical, very good. Four Noble Truths, as the Buddha said, the cause of suffering is desire. The ending of suffering is the ending of desire. It's really difficult to find balance in this life. We know how famous people can be from presenting a certain identity or a certain appearance. A dance with music on it, being attractive, being young, being wealthy, and kind of intuitively know, as practitioners or people who look deeply, there's nothing behind that. There's no substance in that. So to live a substantial life or a life of substance has nothing to do with the appearances or how you can deceive yourself or how you can entertain yourself, but your willingness to go deep within yourself. That's where substance comes from. Bad thought, bad question. Irrelevant for you, Noah. Drop that question, drop that thought. Share about your life, share about what you're going through. Share about your practical experiences. Thoughts carry karma in the same way that clouds carry karma. So why don't you think about that? What karma do you think those clouds are carrying over there, Noah? Right, critical? You and me both. Karma just means cause and effect. Thoughts are just an example of cause and effect. Clouds are carrying the sun and the moon and all the water that's ever been. Didn't you go to school, Noah? The clouds are the cycle of the water system. They're interconnected with everything else. There's no such thing as your thoughts. Thoughts don't belong to anyone. The thoughts you consider to be your thoughts are just thoughts of your society, your culture, your identity. But it's not yours in any way. It's just a culture, an identity. Cause and effect. Impersonal cause and effect. Beginningless and endless cause and effect. Never born, never dying. Yeah, this is my experience. But when we share our experience, We're pointing towards something that's experiential, that there's a kind of a lot of value in your experiences. So you can't say, for example, that it doesn't matter if you feel happy or you feel very much suffering. You know that it matters to you. You see that bird? But when we bring up kind of random thoughts, we can say very easily that it doesn't matter to us. Like Noah's question about, do thoughts carry karma? It's easy to say, that doesn't really matter to me in my life. You know? So our lived experiences are kind of like gold, and the thoughts that we have about things are kind of like tinfoil. So when we just share or offer the thoughts that we have about things, it's kind of like we're either putting on a tinfoil hat or we're making a donation of a tinfoil hat. A tinfoil hat is not very valuable to us, but our lived experiences are. So when people come here and they not just making donations of money or some kind of monetary value things, but when we share what has value to our heart, what's our lived experience, it creates an environment of authenticity. Where real practice can take place. It's difficult to be generous. And when we learn to be generous, meditation will be a lot easier. Meditation will be a lot more accessible to us when we cultivate a habit of generosity, a habit of giving. And so that thought, that sense of you being there and meditating with me will also kind of dissolve away. So this idea of perfection, of being enlightened, it's just something we have to let go of. Having a real perfect spiritual teacher is a lot less possible than having a good spiritual friend, someone that you can connect with, who's also on the path, who's also interested in the path, who's practicing meditation, who's listening to talks from teachers. Someone doesn't need to be an enlightened master to be your spiritual friend on the path that reminds you that life isn't just all about consuming or watching TikTok or watching movies or YouTube videos, but someone to go for a walk with and just breathe and just be. We all need that in our lives. And it's that consistency, it's that willingness to keep showing up, that willingness to keep being involved that makes a difference. You go to the gym and you work out till all your muscles are screaming. Okay, but that's not really going to make a difference in your health. It's not about what you decide, it's your willingness to practice and to give and to listen deeply and share deeply. That's what creates a spiritual community, and that's what makes your life a spiritual life instead of just a materialistic life. You know what I mean? It's like, well, what if I decide that my life is like this or my life is like that? It's just another thought. So the real decision is in your consistency of giving, in your consistency of willingness to listen. That's how relationships are born. And there's no perfection in that relationship. A lot of people shy away from authenticity. The moment that there's a lick of authenticity, they say, I need to go smoke a cigarette, or I need to go eat something, or I need to go watch a video, because authenticity is equal to suffering. Not being satisfied. And these YouTube videos or these TikTok videos or these little decisions or thoughts that we make up are based in this false presentation of satisfactoriness. I'll be satisfied if I eat that food. I'll be satisfied if I drink that coffee. I'll be satisfied if I smoke that cigarette. But you know, the wisdom knows that you won't be. The wisdom knows that it's not satisfactory. So slowly but surely we step back, we let go. Even if we can't let go, we can recognize that that's just another coping mechanism, or that's just something that's keeping me cycling on the wheel of suffering rather than something that's freeing me. You know, so stay open, stay generous, stay willing to listen, willing to explore, willing to be curious, willing to be open. Your thoughts about things are what is to be discarded, what is to be put down. So we can be addicted to thinking as much as we're addicted to anything else. So the answer to the addiction of thinking is not to find the right thought to think, it's to let go of the whole shebang. To stop giving this special importance to thinking. And then thoughts will fall away of themselves. We're transmuting, we're transforming the very definition of unbearable to bearable. That is the relax and the release of the identity of self that picks and chooses what's good and what's bad, what's right and what's wrong. But that's a very subtle process that's happening in our way of meditation, in our way of being aware and not holding on to the things that we are aware of. So the real problem is not the contraction or the tension in the body that we're gonna like stretch out or get rid of. The real problem is the underlying tendency inside of ourselves to contract, to hold on, to get and to get rid of. That's what needs to be relaxed. That's what needs to be massaged out. That's what needs to be forgiven, abandoned. Now we hold on to lots of things. So we have to look at that holding on to itself rather than those things that are being held on to. Whether it's the thing of nothing or the thing of something. It's much bigger than black and white. It's much bigger than right and wrong. It's much bigger than enlightened or unenlightened. We may think, well, what about somebody who's in a war zone? You are in the war zone of your own thinking. And you have to learn how to stop that war zone from convincing you to not do meditation or generosity or follow the 5 precepts or just convincing you to keep thinking about things. We have to be more open to being vulnerable to our own direct experiencing instead of just continuously thinking about things. And that vulnerability to our own direct experiencing opens up the whole world, the whole universe, to doing all kinds of good deeds. Not just thinking about things, figuring things out, puzzle solving, as if we're in like a Rubik's Cube competition of self. The Rubik's Cube of self can never be solved because it's illusory. It's like trying to put a cloud into a box. The cloud itself is cloudless. The thought itself is thoughtless. The suffering itself is nibbana, nibbanic. But that constant avoidance, that constant seeking to get something that's going to cover up that suffering or replace that suffering with satisfactoriness is what is perpetuating that suffering. And that's what real meditation is, or that's what real non-grasping is. Not about you not holding on to that. It's free of you and that. It's a willingness to let you and that fall apart of themselves, by themselves. And that want is actually what disallows that washing to take place. Haha. No you, no me, no wanting. If you can't meditate now, how are you going to meditate later on? Meditation is just like willingness to access nowness. Doesn't matter if eyes are closed or open. Doesn't matter. Your eyes are open? Okay. Enjoy the nowness of eyes open. Eyes are closed? Enjoy the nowness of eyes closed. We can open ourselves up to very deep meditation in the here and now. Sure we can. Our meditation doesn't need to be about anything or anyone. Our meditation doesn't need to be based in the past or the future, or our thoughts about ourselves or our thoughts about the world. There's an access to nowness all the time, everywhere, in the timeless nowhere of right here. Feel your own heart beating. If you're going to be scared of anything, be scared of your own heart and listen to your heart so that it can transmit to you fearlessness. The heart isn't afraid to keep beating. So listen. Listen and open. It's nice. It's a blessing to have friends on the path. That's it. Don't allow all these stories, all this figuring out, all these big ideas of Buddhism and meditation and yourself and others to make you miss out on the simplicity of life as it is right now. All those recordings, all those stories, all those identities. You know what I mean? I can sit here, I can think, wow, you know, I've got some good students, I've got some good spiritual friends. I sure wish they were millionaires. But what do you need $1 million for? What do you need life to work out as a whole for when even this moment can't be worked out, can't be figured out, isn't solved, right? Where even in this moment I can see all of the lacking or the suffering, or the opposite, the nibbana, the enlightenment, the peace, the freedom. What do I need all these stories for? All this wanting for? And all these stories and wanting for keeps us from accessing the simplicity of peace. And that simplicity of peace is what allows us to be willing to endure instead of being tangled up and confused up by that anxiety. I call it a juice machine. It's like a juice machine, right? What is that? Right? I'm really curious about that. What is that juice machine inside? Gives a little hint of anxiety or something like that, you know? You feel it go up and down, left and right. And then we're trying to dissect the body, or we're trying to understand the deepest aspects of our psychology. No wonder you're going to be going through hell and doing a lot of weird things that don't benefit you, because you're trying to understand the universe as someone. And there are no someones in the universe. There's no separation in the universe. There's no this and that galaxy in the... I mean, looking over here at this planet, and somehow I'm supposed to understand all this and think about all this and figure this all out intellectually? No, so we're learning to stop trying to do that. To stop trying to figure out and problem solve everything. That will always exhaust you. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, no, people here treat me really nice. And I need to learn how to treat myself really nice. Not just in terms of these big spiritual ideas of emptiness and enlightenment, but in terms of me taking care of my health, my physical health, my mental health, watching what I consume, watching what I take in. Locking myself up in a room, locking myself up in the shadows. No wonder my mind's going to go to darkness. It doesn't need to be this all or nothing. This all or nothing thing is kind of a cop-out or a trick that keeps you stuck in complacency, because if I don't have good mental health now, or if I don't have good physical health now, well then I'll never have it. And that keeps you locked into that room and that identity. Locked into that depression, locked into that anxiety, locked into those habit patterns where you eat when you're not even hungry. Volley Android, we are taking $50 throat singing requests. So if you'd like to have a throat singing performance, my rate is $50.
Aji တဲ့လောက်ဒီစိတ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာကျင့်စဉ်တွေမှာကြတော့အားနေကြတာ နဲ့ဘာသာပြန်တာတွေကလည်းတိုးတက်လာတဲ့အခါကျတော့ဘာသာစကားအခက်အခဲကတော့တိတ်တော့မရှိတော့ဘူးပေါ့လေကိုကဘုရားဟောတဲ့တရားတော်တွေကိုရှင်းပြတာ
Yeah, she was kind of. He will be back in LA later this month. So if you get a chance to go and see him, please do. I can give you contact number for the. It's actually his brother, and he helps to manage visits and things like that. That's a Burmese language, Myanmar language. Yeah, send me a message on WhatsApp and I'll connect you with how you can go to visit. He's in Los Angeles and then he'll be going to India for a couple months. I might go to see him in India. He's in Texas right now, I believe, in Houston. He's working on starting a center in Texas. He's very, very busy, but he's always happy to help. I'm gonna post the WhatsApp number on the YouTube. It's also the best way if you would like to donate. You can message me on WhatsApp and I'll give information to you. Thank you all for being here and for supporting me and accepting me and giving me the time of the day. I think we also get ideas about our spiritual progress or enlightenment, that somehow we're supposed to become like totally trippy and peaceful and wonderful. But just because you're enlightened doesn't mean that you can't break your ankle. Just because you're enlightened doesn't mean that you can't have a really painful stomach ache. Just because you're enlightened doesn't mean that you can't get depressed or anxious or be tired. And how those ideals of perfection keep us from opening up to life and actually going further and deeper on our spiritual path. And how they keep us from being vulnerable and exposing ourselves. And when you're not willing to be vulnerable and expose yourself, it means that you need to hide. You need to cover up. You need to shield, you need to protect your identity. And that protection of your identity keeps you from access to dissolving that identity. Keeps us from trying. Hi, Mickey. Yeah, it's beautiful here right now. Beautiful inside and outside. I'll share the view a little bit. Amitofo. So this is the material view of a wide landscape. And another view that is very beautiful and profound is the mentality view of the Dhamma. So the view of no self or non-self, the view of impermanence, not worthwhile to grasp, not worthwhile to hang on to. Depends on where you're at. Depends on how your mind is. But Asia is energetically extremely different from the West. Just the general sense of people and the energetic psychosocial environment is very, very different. And there's a big Buddha on the hill over there.